Hello everyone, if you are new, my name is Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be my second vlog for Becca's Spookoplathon, which is her month-long readathon that she's hosting during October. It's usually called Bookoplathon. She moved it to October and gave it spooky vibes. So I am working on completing my TBR from not only Spookoplathon, but also my Wheel of TBR. I will link the TBR up above if you would like to check that out and see what I'm supposed to be reading. But first, let's go ahead and chat about what I'm going to be doing to start off this vlog. So I am currently listening to the audio of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I'm not very far in. This is chunky. I'm 116 pages into it. My hope is that I can potentially have this done by the end of this vlog, but we will just play that by ear, see how it goes. And I, as of yet, do not have any opinion on it because I'm really not far enough into it yet. So once I have some thoughts, I will share them, sprinkle them in throughout the vlog. But this is my current audiobook and will be probably the only audiobook that I listen to this week because it is so big. I'm also going to be starting my buzzword pick for October, and for that I am using The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. The buzzword is magic or a magic related word. I decided to go specifically with the word magic. So this one does have a tagline: midnight, tales, and dangerous magic. So this will be the buzzword. This is a short story collection. I think I might have actually read one of the stories once before, but I really can't remember. So I'm hoping to do like a story a day. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories. So definitely can get through this week, reading one story per day. I'll chat about each one once I finish it, but this is for the buzzword challenge. And then I'm also going to be starting a book today from my both Wheel and Spookoplathon TBR, and that is Malice House by Megan Shepherd. Now, I read her YA series that was her take on the story of the island of Dr. Moreau. I enjoyed it, so I'm curious to see what I think about this one. I think this is a horror. I think it has something to do with a haunted house, but I kind of want to go in blind. I don't really like to know what's coming. So this will be what I'm starting with. I would like to potentially get halfway through it today, but we will see. Let's see how many pages this actually has. So this does have 373 pages, so it's not terrible. It's pretty good sized and the font's not huge, but it's got decent margins, so I feel like I should be able to get through this in a pretty timely fashion. So this will be what I'm starting with. And I will come back and chat with you once I get like 100 pages in to give you my thoughts and let you know like what the book's about so far. So that is what's on the reading agenda. But before I go do what I need to do today, I wanted to share some bookish mail that I got in. I ordered a new reading tracker for 2024. This is from Novelly Yours. I will link her website down below. Brittany is the person who runs this company. I have quote unquote known Brittany since probably like 2010 because we were both like book bloggers at that time. So this was kind of nice to come full circle, support her small business. But this is just a very simple tracker. This is not a planner. There's no monthly or weekly spreads. This is solely about tracking your reading, your purchases, all of that kind of stuff. If you're interested in me doing a flip through, I can do that. Just let me know in the comments. But this year I had gone with the Always Fully Booked planner, which is like the gold standard. It's from Little Inklings Design. And while it is beautiful, I have not hardly used anything in here because one thing that I've learned about myself is I'm not actually a very good planner. Like, purchasing a planner is kind of a waste of money for me because I am just not very good at keeping up with it. There were things that I really liked about this one that I was really excited to use, but I've completely fallen off. So one of them was like this bookshelf page. I stopped filling this out probably in June. So haven't touched it since then. She has like a series tracker. Again, I don't think I've touched it since June. She has these quotes pages, which I have not filled any out. We've got like a TV tracker, which I didn't use because I don't really watch that much new TV. 5-star reads, the last one. Oh no, I need to take this further back. April was the last time I actually filled this out, because the last 5-star read that I wrote down on here was The Good Left Undone, and I read that in April. So I'm just not a good planner. She's got things like favorites, the A to Z challenge, which I also have not updated, and then she's got these reading challenges, and I started filling them out and then just stopped because your girl is not very good at this. So I decided to go with something much simpler for 2024, and that is this reading tracker. So if you would like to see, here's her name. She's who designed it. Again, I'll link it down below. If you want me to do a flip through, let me know. I could probably do that like in a vlog, but I'm excited to give this one a go and see if this one works better for me. So that's my little bookish mail, the little comparison. That's not really a comparison. I do think I actually moved the bookmark last week. I did, but now we're a week past and I haven't touched it again. Like, this is what the weekly spreads look like in here, y'all. I have not touched these. So for me, this was a big waste of money. It's beautiful. If you are a planner, I would recommend it, but for me, it's just not, it's not something that I'm going to be very good at keeping up with. So alas, it is what it is. But I started out, you know, doing decently well and then just stopped. So it's beautiful. If you're a planner, I would recommend. She's probably going to do her pre-orders for them later this month in October. So I will link her down below if you want to check it out, because her planners do sell out. But live and learn. This one's not for me. So we're going to go ahead and try our luck with this one next year. So anyway, that's that. Now I'm going to take a pause. I need to edit all 3 of my videos that go up this week, because I have not done that yet. One of them was actually supposed to go up last week and I totally forgot to edit it. Just completely slipped my mind. So we're gonna tackle all 3 of them today. I think once I'm done with that, I will go ahead and read the first story in here, let you know how that's going, and then we will switch to Malice House and I can share my thoughts at 100 pages. So I will see you later on with a couple reading updates, but until then, it's time to edit some videos. Hello all, reading update time. It's 7:20, it's quite late. It took me a while to edit those 3 videos, but they are all edited. They've been uploaded, scheduled, etc. So check that off. But I did just finish the first story in the language of Thorns. So this is a short story collection of like folk tales and things from her Grishaverse universe. So the first one is called Ayama and the Thornwood. And it's about a girl who is the second born daughter, and because she's not as pretty and sweet spoken as her oldest sister, she is kind of relegated to essentially the family servant. She has to sleep on the floor in the kitchen, etc. And they live in a kingdom with a king and a queen and a prince. There was a second prince as well, but he turned out to be a monster, so kind of very reminiscent of the Labyrinth from Greek mythology. And the beastly prince is imprisoned in the labyrinth. He escapes, and then he kind of is wreaking havoc around the kingdom. And the king is looking for someone to go and basically take care of this problem, and Ayama volunteers, for lack of a better word, to go take care of it. And each time she meets with the beastly prince, she tells the prince a story. So then it turns very reminiscent of like 1001 Arabian Nights or Scheherazade, that kind of thing. And that's the setup for the story. One thing I do want to mention, this book is very beautiful. So this story is written in like a color, so it's like a maroon, and the art along the side like changes with each chapter. So it starts off with just the castle, then the next page has like a little of the labyrinth added, and then a little bit more, and then we get some artwork down in the corner. And as it goes along, I'll just show you like the final image. Let me make sure I'm there. So here is like the finished artwork, and there is also a full color illustration that goes along with each picture. So very beautiful art. The artist is Sarah Kippen, so very pretty. And I enjoyed that. So it was nice to like watch the artwork. I'm assuming each one is going to be like that. Yeah, I can already see like the art is doing the same thing in the next book. So that'll be kind of cool to see how it ties into the story. So anyway, talking about rating, I enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 stars. I feel like it's a very good start to this short story collection. I don't have the best of luck with anthologies. I tend to find them kind of mediocre. So we'll see how this one goes, but it does help to already know like the universe that the stories are set in. So that one is done. Now I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of reading on Malice House. I am not sure how far I will get, so I'm gonna read for maybe an hour or so. And if I don't get to page 100 tonight, I'll talk to you about it once I hit that point. Page 100 would be chapter 10, so it's actually page 98. So this much, if I can get it read tonight. If not, we'll do it tomorrow. I'm not in any big rush, but yes, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of reading on this and potentially come and talk to you tonight. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow after I do my grocery shopping and things like that. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. It's going on 1 o'clock. I went to Target this morning, got some things that I'd run out of, got groceries for this coming week in terms of lunches and breakfast for work. And I did listen to more of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So I'm officially on chapter 18, page 204, which is 20% of the book. Slow and steady wins the race, right? So here's where I am. I am finding it enjoyable, although I don't know how enjoyable I would find it if I was reading it physically. I quite like the narrator. I feel like he's doing a great job of bringing the story to life and making it more interesting. I'm also still not really sure what's happening, because we are only focused on Mr. Norrell at this point. We've not really met Jonathan Strange yet. He's been mentioned, but we haven't really met him. We don't know anything about him. And yeah, it's a little confusing, but I'm assuming we'll get there eventually. So that is my little update on that. I started Malice House last night, but only got like 1 chapter in because I got the worst headache. And it was like making me feel nauseous, and it was not a good time. So you saw I treated myself to a face mask for a little bit of self-care, and I am feeling better, although I still have a slight headache. So I'm going to take some Excedrin, hope that that kicks it. The weather changed, and anytime that happens, I get headaches as a result. So I only read the first chapter. This is about a woman whose name is Haven. Haven has moved into her father's house. It is a remote seaside house, I believe in Oregon. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. And her father has passed away. Towards the end of his life, he was struggling with dementia, and he was convinced that there was a demon living inside the walls of this house. So that's kind of the setup. She has now moved into the house to clear it out, that kind of stuff. And as she is cleaning, she stumbles upon a manuscript that her father wrote. Her father was a horror writer. And the manuscript is called Bedtime Stories for Monsters. And it's like a handwritten manuscript that her father had hidden away in like a desk drawer. The bottom of the drawer was falling out, which is how she realized this manuscript existed. And that's literally what's happened in the first chapter. So it was quite a lot. It wasn't a very long chapter. I'm only on page 14, but a lot happened in the first chapter. So she's clearly trying to set up the story. So that's where we are with this. I'm hoping that I can read a little bit more of this today. I'm going to need my headache to go away because I can't read with a headache. So hopefully some Excedrin will help with that. And we're going to see how far I can get in this book, hopefully, I can get a decent chunk read. I will also hopefully be reading the next story in The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. The second story is called The Too Clever Fox. I feel like I read this one before. The name sounds very familiar, but I cannot recall like what it was really about. So we'll see. But again, just like the first one, it's got great illustrations. So I'm looking forward to reading it, and I will come back and share my rating and my thought for this story once I've read it. But this is going well so far. As I mentioned yesterday, it started off with a 4-star, much better than pretty much any other anthology I've attempted to read this year. So we'll cross our fingers that that means that this is going to go well. But that's the agenda. I don't really have anything else that I'm planning on doing. I was going to print the things for my fall bulletin board for school, but I think I'm going to go ahead and use the school's printer for that because I can print in color there as well. And then I will not have to worry about printing here and using my paper and things. I can just use the school's. So I think that's what I'm going to do. The laminator at school has been broken for a couple weeks now, but the guy said he's coming back. He came on Friday, worked on it a little while, ran out of time to fix it because they have like a set work schedule. So he said he would be back Monday to hopefully fix it the rest of the way, and then I can laminate it and get it all cut out and ready to go, because right now the bulletin board at school that I have up is still the welcome back bulletin board, and it's October. So fail on my part, but I found a cute one. I'll go ahead and put the picture right here. It's really, really adorable. I'll link it down below, but that is what I would like to get put up. I was going to print it here at home, but I'm going to go ahead and do it at school. So let me stop talking, take some painkillers, see if this headache will go away, and then hopefully I will be able to do some reading. So I will come back and chat with you when and if I have a reading update, and if I happen to get up to anything else, I will share that as well.
2,000 years later.
Hey y'all, long time no chat. It's Saturday, so it's been a bit since the last time I talked to you, and I don't really have much of a reading update for you. So, yeah, this has been kind of a dud reading week, but let me go ahead and talk about the one book that I have consistently been listening to, which is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I am almost done with this. So I'm right here. I've been listening pretty much solely on audio. I did read like a couple chapters earlier in the week. So I'm on page 927. This will be done tomorrow, and I will give you my full thoughts. I am engaged and entertained and interested, but I wouldn't say that this is like the best book ever. So yeah, again, full thoughts once I finish. That'll be tomorrow. I have also decided to extend this vlog through the weekend just so I can maybe get a little bit more footage and do a little bit more reading, because I did not really read anything except for on Monday. So I did read like 50 pages of Malice House by Megan Shepherd. I don't even remember if I said that the last time I talked to you. I don't even know where I was, but I have not gotten very far in this at all. I am currently on page 67, so I'm not doing great. So what I think I'm gonna do for the next 2 days, I have the books that I still need to read for my October TBR, my physical books, because I have an audiobook as well. So I've got these 3 books. I have The Grace Year by Kim Liggett, I have The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, and I have The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. Now, I found the audiobook on Audible for this one. And I went ahead and used a credit for it. For some reason, my library does not carry her audiobooks at all. This one they don't even have on ebook, so they only have it physically. So it's very hard to find the audio. It's not available on Scribd, so I went ahead and purchased it on Audible because I'm gonna need to have at least one more of these be an audiobook in order to get through them. So I went ahead and went with this one. I heard that the audiobook is pretty good, and I've also heard that this book is maybe not necessarily the best book ever. There have been a lot of people who haven't really liked this one, so I feel like audio might be the better way to go for this. So I'm going to set this one aside. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to read the next chapter of Malice House, see if it is piquing my interest, because I was not inclined to pick this up at all during the week. But I'm also going to read the first chapter of The Stranger Upstairs, and the Grace Year. And then I'm going to decide which one I'm actually going to work on today and tomorrow. I also still have only read one story in the language of Thorns. So your girl's not doing very well with reading, aside from Jonathan Strange, which I've read almost the entirety of that book, and it'll be done tomorrow. So that's good. That's a 1,000+ page book. So I mean, I feel accomplished in that respect, but I need to get the rest of these read. So I will be reading the next story of this today. I'm kind of going to force myself to do it. It's not that I don't want to, I'm just kind of meh about reading right now. So we need some help. So I will read the next story of that, let you know ratings, things like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and compare chapters of this. I will come back and chat with you about each of them and then let you know what I'm actually going to work on this weekend and attempt to get completely finished by tomorrow, because I got to get reading on these. And I still have Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier to read as well, but that's the next audiobook that I will be starting. So yeah, not doing so hot. Right now I need to film a video that goes up tomorrow. I actually just need to film the intro and outro of the video. The rest of it is like footage that I was taking throughout the last month or so. So need to film that. I also need to film my video for Tuesday, which is my goals update for 2023 for the third quarter. And then we're gonna get reading. So I will come back and chat with you once I've read. Well, I'm going to read the next chapter of this. I'll let you know my thoughts, how it's going. Then I'm going to read the first chapter of this and the first chapter of this. I will talk about each of them, do like a little comparison, and let you know what we're going to actually read to close out this vlog. So I will see you in a little bit. Okay, y'all, I just read the next chapter of Malice House and the first chapter of The Stranger Upstairs. So we'll talk about this one first. What I read chapter 7, and someone has just been murdered in the chapter that I read. It's someone that our main character Haven knows, and it happened just slightly up the road from Malice House, which is where Haven is currently staying. So that's kind of what happened there. I will say that I started to go straight on into chapter 8 without really thinking that I'd ended a chapter, so that's a good sign. But yeah, so that was that one. Then I read the first chapter of The Stranger Upstairs, and we are following Sarah Slade. She is a therapist and self-help writer, and her husband have just purchased a murder house. And while it does tell us like what happened in the murder house, like who was killed, etc., it's mostly focusing on the fact that Sarah and her husband, who is there with her and is going to help renovate the house, are going through like a hard time in their marriage. She has hinted that Joe, her husband, has some secrets in his past that only she is really aware of. So she's talking about the fact that like the realtor was kind of judging her a little bit for purchasing this house where this woman was killed. And she said, like, basically he said something like it takes an interesting person or whatever to buy a murder house. And she says, this is the quote from the book, "You're damn right it takes a certain kind of person to buy a murder house. You have to be familiar with the very ugly side of human nature. And who better than a therapist? Haven't I heard it all? Haven't I encouraged, even prompted my clients to talk about the big bad things? Most people sweep monsters under the bed. I pull the covers back and let them crawl in." So that's how it ends. So it's intriguing enough. The back does say it's a new owner with a shocking secret. So obviously something, Sarah has either done something or I'm not really sure, but something's happened. And there was also a reference to like her dyeing her husband's hair a different color, like in a gas station bathroom or something. So something's definitely happened here that we're going to learn about as we go through the book. So it was intriguing enough. And now I'm going to go ahead and read the first chapter of The Grace Year and see how it fares. And then I will come back and chat with you about what I'm going to continue reading. So I'll see you in a few minutes once I've read the first chapter of this one. Okay. Okay, so I just read the first 14-ish pages of The Grey Shear. This one doesn't really have chapters. It just has like this symbol, which like shows you where like one part ends basically. So I went ahead and stopped at the first symbol, and we've met our main character, Tierney. Tierney is 16, I believe. And yeah, 16, and in what the town calls her grace year, where I'm not exactly sure what happens, but basically some of the girls are selected to be like future wives of the boys who have come of age in their town, but regardless, everyone is sent like out into the wild, I guess. Yeah, it says they're banished for their 16th year to release their magic into the wild so they can return purified and ready for marriage. So that's kind of the setup. We've met Tierney, we've met her family. So not a whole lot has happened because we're just getting the setup, but I am intrigued. So that's this one. I'm thinking of the three, and this actually surprises me a little bit, I think I'm going to continue with Malice House. I feel like with the murder that just happened in the previous chapter, that this one will potentially pick up a bit, and I am curious to see where it's going. I enjoyed the first chapters of both of these, still plan on reading them. This one's a bit more domestic thrillery than I was initially anticipating. So while I do think I'll enjoy it, I know Becca just read this one like a couple weeks ago, really liked it. It wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. It's a little bit more focused on like her marriage, and I was thinking it would just be the house itself, but that's okay. I am still curious to read this one. Obviously, this is one that I've been really excited to read for the last couple of years, so I'm looking forward to both of them, but I do think, surprise, surprise, I'm going to go ahead and stick with Malice House. So let's go ahead and set a goal for today. So I am currently on page 74. There are 373 pages. So let me attempt some really terrible math, because math is not my thing. So I'm thinking I would like to go ahead and get halfway through. So let's see what page that would be. So it works out to like 186-ish, but let's see like if there's like a good stopping point. So 186 is like in the middle of a chapter. So we'll go ahead and say page 190. So this much, that's going to be the goal for today. It's almost already 5 o'clock. It's 4:41. So most of the day has been whiled away, but I do think that I can potentially get to that page today. And then I will let you know my thoughts and hopefully finish tomorrow so we can close out this vlog with 2 books done, Jonathan Strange and then this one. So that's the plan. I'm going to try to read to chapter 22 today. I'll come back and chat with you regardless before I go to bed, let you know where I'm at, what my thoughts are, etc. But hopefully this one will continue to pick up and I will actually enjoy reading it, because I just really was not feeling, it wasn't even necessarily this book, I just wasn't feeling reading at all this week. So hopefully this will cure that a little bit and I can go ahead and get some good progress made. So I will talk with you later on. Hello all, happy Sunday. I have a reading update. So first of all, I did finish listening to the audio of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Longest book I've ever read. This one clocks in at 1,006 pages, and I finished it while I was eating some lunch, and I actually quite enjoyed this. So I would highly recommend the audio if you are curious about this. I do feel like there are some portions in this book that would be very tedious to read physically, but the narrator did a great job of keeping me engaged, keeping me entertained. There were some laugh out loud funny moments. There is a lot going on in here. So this is a historical fantasy. So it is set in like the early 1800s. You are following Mr. Norrell to like start things off. He is a magician. He's kind of like keeping all the knowledge to himself, and he finally decides that he is going to take on an apprentice, which is Jonathan Strange. And the two of them work together for a little while until Jonathan Strange kind of goes off on his own. He realizes he doesn't really need Norrell's help or support anymore. And then there are some like machinations between two of the people that Norrell like confides in. They are trying to pull him away from Jonathan Strange because they want to have like the say with what he's doing. There's a lot of like court intrigue with like the King of England, who is insane, and there's just a lot going on. So it's very dense, but I very much enjoyed it. One thing I will point out, if you are going to read this physically, there are footnotes throughout this entire book, and some of them, so these are the footnotes down here, some of them take up almost an entire page because he's telling like full-on stories in the footnotes. There are also some illustrations, so things like this, but I really enjoyed it, would recommend. I'm giving it 4 stars. I also did manage to do some more reading on Malice House. Cassidy was hosting some sprints last night, so I was taking part in those. However, I got tired before she was done, and so I stopped on page 155, so not quite halfway through, but my goal is going to be to finish this today. We're going to give it the good old college try, if you will. So I'm going to set myself some like 45-minute sprints and see if I can't power through this. I'm gonna like read for 45 minutes, take a break to do some other things, read for 45 more minutes, take a break. I normally do an hour, but I think 45, that's what Cassidy was doing. I was getting through like a pretty good chunk at a time doing it that way, so I think that will work. It is currently 2 o'clock, but I still think I can get this done by today, and then we can close out this vlog. So that's the plan. I already went to the grocery store, picked up stuff for lunch, breakfast, that kind of stuff. This week is parent-teacher conferences, so I do have to stay late 2 days this week, and by late I mean like 8 o'clock late. And because we need to work an extra 6 hours to be able to take Friday off. And when you do that, you get a 4-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So obviously no one in their right mind would be like, no, I'm going to go ahead and come into work on Friday. So conferences are this week. They are Tuesday and Wednesday after school. So those will be late nights. My goal will be to just put my headphones in, listen to an audiobook. I am going to be starting Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. That's going to be the next audiobook that I listen to. And I'm thinking that with those late nights, it should probably be done pretty quickly. And then I can turn my attention to The Last Housewife, which I already talked about yesterday. So anyway, enough talking. We're going to get to reading. I do need to edit my YouTube video, which goes up on Tuesday, so I am going to do that today. This vlog that you are watching right now is the Thursday video, so once I get done with this book, I can close out this footage and start editing that one. But that's all I have on the agenda. Otherwise, it's just reading, relaxing. It's Sunday. I go back to work tomorrow, but I am very excited that I managed to finish this chunker. This was on my 23 in 2023 list. This is a pretty good accomplishment in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get back to Malice House. Once I hit the halfway point, which is when I said I would come talk to you, which I think is just like one more chapter, maybe 2 chapters. Oh, it's like 3 chapters. So once I read the next 3 chapters and get to chapter 22, I will come share my thoughts on the book, and then we will dive in and hopefully finish the remaining half today. All right, y'all, it's about 45 minutes since I last talked to you. I did get to page 190 of Malice House, which is chapter 22. It's officially the halfway point. We have had 2 more murders. We now have a missing person and a neighbor that could potentially be involved in something that's not great. So that's where we are. Haven's trying to sort it all out. I'm intrigued. I very much want to know where the missing person is, because she has played like a bit of a role in the first part of the book. She is Haven's like one and only friend at this point, and she's disappeared. She also potentially is up to some nefarious things, or at least has told some lies. So all of that has some nice foreshadowing. Put you on the edge of your seat a little bit. You're definitely, as a reader, curious to see what's going to happen. So it's got some nice vibes, and I have marked out the next point where I will come and chat with you and give you an update. So that will be chapter 32, so 10 chapters, which will be page 280, and then I will just have that same amount left to finish the book. So I will come chat with you again when I get to page 280, but right now I'm going to take a break to go ahead and edit the video for Tuesday and finish my coffee from Starbucks that I got when I was out grocery shopping and still have not finished. Side note, I purchased a couple of these Java socks and they actually do really work. So this one is still cold, and until I like mixed in something, it still had a lot of its ice. So these do work. Not sponsored. That would be nice. But no, I saw these. I can't remember who was posting about them on Instagram, but she had mentioned that she had purchased one. She does Dunkin' coffee, so she got like the size for that. This one fits a grande from Starbucks, and then I also have a larger one that fits the venti, but they do really work. So they keep my coffee cold, which is what I want. I don't know if they work the opposite way, but you know, whatever. They're good if you drink cold coffee, which is what I like to do from Starbucks. So anyway, that's an aside. We'll get back to reading this after I edit that video, and I will come chat with you again once I get to that halfway point to share my thoughts. At that point, I feel like we should definitely be into like the climax of the story, and I will have more solidified thoughts at that time. Hey y'all, it's going on 8:30, and I clearly have, or had, overestimated how quickly I could get this read, because I've just now hit where I'd marked, chapter 32. So I'm on page 280. This has 374 pages. So I have a little less than 100 pages left. I think what I'm gonna do, because I'm nearing the end of my energy, and also I tend to try to get ready for bed around like 9:30. So I'm going to read to chapter 300-ish. So let me see. Looks like 303. I'm going to read to 303, which will be chapter 35. So I'm going to read 3 more chapters and then call it quits for this evening. Tomorrow is not a conference night, so I do not have to stay late. So I will come home and finish the remainder of the book at that point. So here's where I am, and I just marked right here. So I will talk to you once I get to page 300, but I'm definitely not finishing this tonight. This reads slower than I thought it would. That's not to say that it's bad or anything like that, but it's definitely a slower read. There's a lot of text on each page, which just slows down the reading experience. As for my thoughts, we are definitely into the climax of the story. We finally understand like what is going on with Haven, her father, these creatures that are appearing and causing havoc. We know how her father's like book club fits into the story, and that part has been answered. I still have questions regarding Haven and her ex-husband, because there's mention of an ex-husband. She's been trying to text him throughout like the entire book, and he's not answering her. There was a fight before she left New York and came to Washington. Is that where she is? Washington State? I can't remember. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. So something's happened there. We still don't know what that is. There was a twist revealed about Haven herself, and also like a couple of the other characters. So I'm decently intrigued, and there's definitely some very suspenseful atmospheric writing going on. And this definitely, I don't know, it's horror, but I think it actually is reading more like a thriller at this point. So we'll see like how it finishes out. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I'm enjoying it. I am looking forward to seeing how it's going to end. It's just not going to happen tonight because I'm running out of energy and I still have almost 100 pages left. So I will chat with you once I get to page 300 and we'll end the vlog for today. And tomorrow we will finish the book. So I will talk to you later on once I've gotten to page 303. So see you in a little bit. Hey y'all, happy Monday. I'm home from work. It's 4:53. I actually read a little bit more last night than I'd initially said I would. So I stopped on page 320, which is chapter 37. So I'm just going to sit down, relax, and finish this book. I have a feeling I know what rating I'm going to give it, but obviously that could change. We're definitely in like the climax of the story, so I'm curious to see how things are going to end. There is a sequel, but as it stands right now, I don't think I would be interested in the sequel. Again, that could change, so I might be eating my words at the end of this, but as it stands right now, I do not plan on reading the sequel, but I am decently enjoying this and looking forward to just seeing how this portion of the story wraps up. So that's enough for me for right now. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and then I will come back and chat with you, give you all my final thoughts once I'm finished. So see you in a little bit. Hey y'all, it's 9:30. I actually finished this a while ago. I was doing something else, but Malice House is officially done. This was one of my community shelf prompts, I believe. I think I had picked horror for like the prompt, and this was the book that I chose. It was also on my wheel of TBR. So that is another book finished from those TBRs. Now, I mentioned that I thought I knew what my rating was going to be, and I was thinking that it would be a 3-star. I'm actually dropping it down to a 2-star. There is this plot line that's mentioned throughout the entirety of the book involving Haven's ex-husband, and like it's hinted at, and there's like a secret, and the entire time I was reading I was like, what is going on with the husband? When are we gonna find out about the husband? Well, you don't find out till like the very end. And y'all, when I say I rolled my eyes, it was like the dumbest reveal, like completely not worth the length of time you go wondering about it. That was very disappointing. I also feel like this book was probably classified incorrectly. So this is classified as a horror. There are horror elements. We have like weird monsters and monstrous beings that are like terrorizing Haven, and that part definitely is horror. However, there's like a magical realism / fantasy element in this book that I was not expecting in terms of how those monsters come to be. And I feel like had she really leaned into that aspect as opposed to trying to set this in like the modern world. This was written in 2022 and it was written like current times. I feel like it just would have been better. I think trying to shoehorn this into modern times instead of embracing the fantasy elements required a level of suspension of disbelief that I personally was unable to give it. And in the end, this book was just okay. Now I'm doing 2 stars based on like the Goodreads rating. They consider 2 stars. It was okay. And that's what I would say this was. It was okay. Overall, I was kind of left with a feeling of meh upon finishing. Definitely not going to read the sequel. I don't care enough about the characters or kind of the ambiguous open ending to read the second book. And this was just definitely a disappointment because I really, really liked The Madman's Daughter, and the sequels after that. Those books, they're a YA series based on the island of Dr. Moreau. This, I believe, was her adult debut. It does read like adult, so we don't have the usual issue that you have when a YA author goes into adult, where it still sounds and feels like YA. I felt like this one did sound like an adult book. I just didn't love it. I also feel like the pacing was a little bit off. I kind of explained, I just didn't feel like any impulse to pick it up after that first like 60 pages. I went like a full week almost without touching it, and that's not normal for me. So yeah, this one just didn't do it for me, but I am finished with it, so we can finally close this vlog out. This makes 3 books that I have read that were part of my Spookoplathon TBR, and then I have also read 2 others that were not, but that I needed to read. So we're doing well. Of course, I'm down to like the final full week of October, and I still have 4 books to read. I did start listening to Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. I got about 26% into it, I think. So that one I know will be finished within the next few days. I have to stay late for conferences tomorrow and Wednesday, and will be listening to my book while I'm sitting at the school for conferences. So that should get done possibly by Wednesday, and that will leave me plenty of time to do that last audiobook, and then I need to read 2 books physically. So I will talk more about that in my next vlog, which will be like an extended weekend vlog. Our fall break is coming up from Friday through Monday, so I'm gonna vlog that, bring you along. That will be the last vlog of the month and the last vlog for Spookoplathon. So I will talk about anything that I happen to read between now and then in that vlog. But anyway, that's enough for me. It's about time for me to get ready for bed because it's late now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.